Anda menyaksikan Merdeka Digital bersama saya Andi Shalini. Ruang digital di Indonesia kini semakin terbuka lebar di Indonesia. Namun di tengah sejumlah peluang yang ada sejumlah tantangan juga yang meliputi. Di antaranya terkait dengan perlindungan data pribadi, keamanan siber, hingga adanya ancaman judi online. Pemerintah melalui Dirjen Pengawasan Ruang Digital menegaskan, menjaga ekosistem digital yang sehat tidak bisa hanya dilakukan negara, tetapi butuh kolaborasi semua pihak. Termasuk dari pelaku industri teknologi finansial yang kini memegang peran penting dalam membangun ekosistem digital yang aman sekaligus inklusif. Dompet digital pun sudah menjadi bagian dari keseharian masyarakat. Survei We Are Social 2025 menunjukkan lebih dari 78% pengguna internet di Indonesia kini bertransaksi lewat e-wallet, sebuah transformasi nyata menuju cashless society. Di tengah tren ini, GoPay tampil sebagai salah satu pemain utama. Tak hanya menghadirkan kemudahan pembayaran, GoPay juga terus berinovasi. Tidak hanya sekedar untuk pembayaran, namun menyediakan layanan keuangan yang lengkap melalui aplikasi khusus layanan keuangan GoPay untuk konsumen, hingga aplikasi GoPay Merchant yang membantu pelaku usaha menerima pembayaran digital. Bahkan GoPay ikut aktif sebagai mitra Komdigi, mendukung literasi dan keamanan keuangan digital lewat kampanye judi pasti rugi, sejalan dengan upaya pemerintah memberantas judi online. Dengan strategi tersebut, GoPay berambisi tumbuh menjadi solusi keuangan komprehensif bagi masyarakat maupun merchant. Di tengah pengawasan ruang digital yang semakin ketat oleh pemerintah, tentunya industri teknologi finansial memainkan peran penting dalam menjaga ekosistem digital yang sehat. Dan tentunya salah satu pemain utama di sektor ini adalah GoTo Financial melalui GoPay. Lalu bagaimana perjalanan dan juga strategi GoPay dalam memperkuat posisinya di industri Fintech tanah air? Kami akan bahasnya bersama dengan President Director of Financial Technology at GoTo, Sudhanshu Raheja. Hello Sudhanshu, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good also. Thank you for joining us on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
Sudhanshu, before we dive into the products and also innovations, let's go to the big picture first. Can you elaborate to us how is GoTo Financial and what is the core mission and vision behind the company?
Sure, would love to. So, GoTo Financial, or better known in Indonesia as GoPay, has been around since 2016, right? And maybe I can explain this story in probably 3 different phases. The first was in 2016 to 2019, where we started off as a way for solving the cash problem on Gojek. People did not have a lot of cash or change, and drivers wanted an easy way to solve for it. So we built out GoPay to be able to make that easier. And for 3 years, we just focused on one problem, which was solving payment acceptance at Gojek. And we covered pretty much all of the ecosystem with it. The second phase of our growth started off from 2019 to say 22. This is where we expanded not just outside Gojek. We went on Tokopedia, we went to thousands of offline and online merchants. In fact, we got covered pretty much everywhere across Indonesia. You could go anywhere and pay with GoPay. And that helped us really expand. And we figured out that we could go even further. And our third phase started off around, say, 23 to now, where we started focusing on building the largest fintech ecosystem in Indonesia. We launched a separate GoPay app. We went out to users that we had never covered before. If you look at us now, what we focus on is we want to provide financial services and inclusion for pretty much all of Indonesia. And we're trying to make it accessible, affordable, and easy to access for pretty much across, for most of the people, right? That is where we are today.
Mm-hmm. So accessible is one of the keywords, right? So how do you translate those mission into day-to-day business strategies?
Okay. That's a great question. So if you think of the GoPay app, so we were always very large in the affluent market on Gojek, right? And at one point in time, we thought, okay, we are in one of the largest countries in the world. Indonesia is 270 million people. And yet, over 100 million people are underbanked. So we thought, okay, let's figure out what do we do? Is there something that we can provide to increase accessibility? And when we started thinking of it, when we talked to people, what we realized was that there were a number of problems. One, people felt that the existing institutions did not provide access to everyone. People were scared of going through financial technology. It was not simple enough. It was not affordable. So we found very interesting ways to solve for those problems. For example, one key example I talk about a lot is we realized that in most tier 2, tier 3 cities, people don't have the very large smartphones. So when you build an app for them, you have to make an app which is small in size so that they don't have to delete it when they're running out of space, right? That was one key feature that we started off in mind and which significantly helped us scale our app a lot more.
Okay, speaking of the ecosystem that you mentioned about to solve the problems, one big move was the launch of the GoPay standalone app. So what inspired that step, or what key problems does it solve?
That's again a very interesting question. So GoPay app was born from our focus or willingness to drive financial inclusion and impact. Like I said, we wanted to figure out what do we do for making sure that fintech is accessible pretty much by everyone in Indonesia.
Okay.
And as we went about thinking about it, we found a key few problem statements. First was accessibility, like we talked about. Second was trust. And we realized that we don't only need one app which is small in size. We also need to figure out how do we build on trust. And then we realized that people are not looking for one specific problem statement. They need a solution to everything that they're doing with money. So how we built the GoPay app was accessibility, trust, and followed by all of the key 6 things that you can do with money, which include things like a full banking ecosystem. You can today sign up for Tabungan on the GoPay app and use a full banking experience. You can get interest on your idle money. You can take loans. You can also run expense management fully on the GoPay app so that you are in full control of where your money is going. Then in addition, we went on to launch insurance and investments so that you can plan for your future. And then lastly, we went on to spend a lot of time on driving engagement, because we really feel that finance doesn't have to be boring. Finance can be engaging and fun. And we've launched a lot of features to help bring people back to the app and bring finance to them in a much more enjoyable way, right? Last but not the least, we really doubled down on security. People absolutely don't want to lose their money. So we built out a multi-layered security system. We significantly increased the amount of real-time tracking, started utilizing AI a lot more in terms of real-time detection, figuring out what are the anomalies that are happening, and then giving people a simple way of figuring out if their accounts are safe or not, right? That was the framework for us to figure out how do we go build out an app which can scale significantly into the wider ecosystem.
That's why GoTo Financial trying to solve the problem, right, through the GoPay standalone app. And you mentioned about the uniqueness. So what is the uniqueness of USP from the GoPay that makes it stand out from the other key players in this industry?
So if I go through the USPs, right, you will hear similar set of financial services across. But we realize that when we have to go out, we need something that differentiates us, right? Now, for example, one of the first things we did was we launched with 100x free transfers. Why 100x free transfers? Most of the ecosystem today charges money to move your own money around. And we realized people absolutely did not like that. It's their own money. And if you go to the mass market, if you go to the more less affluent users, they have little money and they don't want to spend it just in terms of fees. So we found a way to make transfers free to all banks, not just to GoPay, right? And that significantly helped in bringing a lot of people on board. Second, we built out a product on the savings part. We built out a product that we call Simpanan. The problem statement there was very interesting. So people told us that when they don't have a lot of money, they just keep it at their home in cash, right? They don't like to go to a bank because they feel intimidated. one, again, if there are enough branches, if they don't have a lot of money, they're not sure if they should go to a bank. So we built out a product for them, which is called Simpanan. And what Simpanan does is slightly different. It ensures there's no fees to move even a small bit of money in and out. Second, the feedback that we got was people wanted to save this money, but did not want to keep looking at the balance all the time. It was almost like you take your cash and you put it under a blanket, and then 3 months later, when you open it up, you're surprised by how much money is there, right? And that's exactly how Simpanan works. You keep moving money to it. You can go see the app, you can see the balance, but it's not on the homepage. It's slightly hidden, right? So we had to essentially keep finding more and more ways of how do we take the current products, tweak it to the users that we're going for, so that the experience makes sense for them. A third very interesting thing was expense management. If you look at most banks and fintech, what they focus on is telling you, this is your balance, this is how much money, this is how much money is left. What we tried to do was, how do we explain to the user, where is your money going, so that you have better control over preventing or blocking it. We have features like budgeting. We have expense management showing up right at the top on the home screen, which helps people know if they're overspending, underspending, or how is their month going, right? All of these things help make sure that people have better control. And we realize that with better control, people are more willing to trust a product which helps them do that, right? We had another interesting example on insurance. Insurance, if you look at overall penetration in Indonesia, it's extremely low compared to most other countries. We realized that there were differences in terms of the product that are being offered. There is BPJS offers amazing insurance for a vast majority of the market. But the moment you have kids, the moment you have, you're in a life age where you need better health, the products were a lot more expensive. So we worked with a lot of partners to figure out how do you offer health insurance at a price which is slightly more expensive than BPJS, but a lot more affordable. And we've again seen tremendous traction on it, right? So again, what we've tried to do is look at every product, every financial product, figure out what is the differentiation that we can bring in. And maybe one of the largest ones, which you can probably see in the financial results as well, was lending. Now we have a lot of drivers on Gojek. And when you talk to them on lending and borrowing, now why does that come in? That comes in because they have renovations at the house. They have school fees that needs to be paid, right? When they need money immediately, where do they get it from? And one of the key problems was salary slips. You go to a bank, you go to a financial institute to request for money. One of the key things that comes up, if you want an affordable price, is that you need to provide salary slips, which, for example, our drivers who have been working very consistently cannot essentially provide traditional salary slips. So what we did was we figured out a way to use, we have a tremendous amount of data internally, to use that data to figure out how do we do credit scoring to be able to offer credit at a much more reasonable price to a lot more customers. Right?
Okay, so what is the most popular financial product that GoPay offers so far?
The most popular one by far, I think, is transfers. Okay. If you think of it, transfers, so for people in Jakarta, there is a very clear split between transfers and how you pay, right? Most people pay with QRIS. If you go to tier 2, tier 3 cities, you'll realize that a lot of people also pay with transfers. So you go to a place, they tell you, this is my bank account, just transfer money here, and you just transfer money there, right? So transfers is actually a replica for trying to do payments. Another key one is when you go to people who have, who are SESB, SESC, SESD, whenever they run short of money, the first thing that they want to do is borrow from friends and family. How do you do that? That's again transfer. So, which is why transfers is so key. Moving money around is such a key financial product. Most people don't think of it as a financial product, but if you can do that at very low prices or pretty much at zero prices, that's critical to figure out how can you keep the economy moving essentially, right?
What about the Simpanan and also insurance that also you mentioned before?
So Simpanan and Tabungan have also been very, very effective. I think overall, maybe 1 in 4 people on the GoPay app are already on the banking product, right? And the adoption keeps increasing very, very fast. Insurance also has tremendously high conversion. I don't have numbers off the top of my head, but I think we would be, in terms of policies issued, we might be one of the largest in the country.
Okay.